send the YouTube file now, and we should be done. Just a second. It's opening slow. Now we're all set. Sorry for the delay. Okay. अस्मद् गुरुभ्यो नमः अस्मद् परम गुरुभ्यो नमः अस्मद् सर्व गुरुभ्यो नमः श्री कृष्ण परब्रह्मणे नमः श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह परब्रह्मणे नमः श्री लक्ष्मी हायवदन परब्रह्मणे नमः सर्वं श्री कृष्णार्पणमस्तु. So we are trying to finish the last section of the explanation of Madhvācārya 2.18. So let me show you the slide I have. I'll share the screen. Yeah. Let me slideshow. Do you see my slide here?
Yes.
Okay. Madhvācārya 2.18. It says, Aitadatmyamityetat atmasambandhi tat swamikam tvamopi tad etadatmyameva asi nasosi iti va. Here, I'm continuing where we left off. What Madhvācārya is saying is here, see, Sadeva Somya idamagra asiti ekameva advitiyam was the first sentence, right? Sadeva Somya idamagra asiti ekameva advitiyam. Sat only existed, one without a second. That is the first line. Tadaikshata. That thought, that willed to create or become many. That's how that's how the Shruti goes. And eventually they also have the sentence, Aitadatmyamidam sarvam tat satyam sa atma tattvamasi shvetaketo. Aitadatmyamidam sarvam means this is the Atma. If you take it this way, it is better to keep that is the Hari, who is creator, who is Sarvajna, īśvara. So it's better to keep that separate, and that is totally different from jīva, and all the created entities. So if you keep bheda or difference between īśvara and jīva, you are better off. Another thing is, you are keeping the linga taditi linga samyam chatra. That means tat and etat etadatmyam tat. That is at the same linga. That is napumsaka linga in Sanskrit. So the meaning suits better. Avidyamanam eva īśvaram srishtadikam cha apraptam eva atmano bhinnatvena. Okay, here let me. Oops. I hope. Yeah, correct. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, just a second. I clean this up here. So first of all, what does Advaita do? In Advaita Bhashyas, first of all, īśvara is non-existent. Why īśvara is mithyakrita? īśvara exists only in the mithya or illusory realm. What realm is illusory in Advaita? Everything other than Atman or Brahman is illusory, non-existing. And Brahman is nirguna, nirvishesha, nirvikalpa. There is no karma there, there is no attribute there. So Brahman is only that. And Brahman is one. So to explain the many, they say, okay, īśvara is there, who is the creator, that is Saguna Brahma, and Saguna Brahma is illusory, and so is the creation is illusory. Creation never happened. You are never bound. Why do you need moksha if you are not bound? So all these ways of explanation is done by Advaitis. So what Madhvācārya says is, first of all, you have to talk about īśvara, his creation, and after denying everything, deny the creation, deny īśvara, and everything like that. Somehow this looks like the śruti statements looks like the rantings of a mad person. So that's what has become now. Is that right? Our shruti is not the best pramāṇa to understand supra-sensory beings, supra-sensory entities, those entities beyond our senses. So this doesn't work properly in the Advaita view. Next. Anuvadepi yadidam vadanti tanna yujjate ityadi vakyam parihare vishesha yuktim cha vina na drishtaha atiprasangascha anyatha abhedanuvadeena bhedopadesha kimiti na syat. What Advaitins counter is, look, we have to first bring in all the bheda or differences. So we have to talk about an īśvara, we have to talk about the creation, we have to talk about all the millions and billions of things happening. Then only we can deny it. So we are just bringing in all that information and then deny it. That is the purpose of the śruti. But what Madhvācārya argues is, look, even to deny something, suppose somebody writes a will, suppose father writes a will to son on the deathbed. Look, I have 5 tennis courts, 3 homes, 25 bank accounts, and since you are the only son, definitely I have to write all this property to you. I'm going to write all this property to you. Finally, he says, all the statements given in this document are false. If he says at the end, does it make sense? Even if he says all the statements are false in this particular document, he has to give some reasons as to why are they false. And in the case of the father writing a will, he may say, all the statements in this documents are false because I have found you, my only son, as first of all useless, irresponsible, in fact, schizophrenic and mad. I don't want to allocate or give you any property. Rather, I would do something else. See, if he has given those kind of, in this whole document, it makes sense because yes, he has all the properties, but he doesn't want to give it to the son at the end because of some reasons. So in the Shrutis also, if they are given clear reasons as to I am now describing all the variety, multiplicity and everything in this universe, and I am denying at the end because of these reasons. So if there were reasons mentioned, then we would accept the Shruti as is. There is no such reason mentioned in the Shrutis. When they deny, they don't even deny to start with. As far as we are concerned, they don't deny any multiplicity. But Advaita makes that kind of understanding. And we don't agree because Shrutis do not indicate such statements of clarity. And another thing is, Advaita says, look, multiplicity is said in the beginning, and later on, everything is one. So all multiplicity is denied. Advaita may say that. We will say the reverse. What if Advaita wants to only uphold bheda, not Advaita, the Vedas only want to uphold bheda. So they here and there abheda may be mentioned, and then say that bheda is upheld. So Sadeva Somyedama Agrasi Ekameva Asid. We can take this as Anuvada. That means you take this as, initially only one existed without a second. This is just a statement of just as some kind of a statement to be denied. And this is actually untrue, but we take it as a first statement. When we say Tadaikshata, we are denying everything because that saw and willed everything and everything came into existence. And the existence is real and that is multiple. We can say that later on it is true. And earlier the untruth was introduced to deny it. So we can reverse the table on you, Advaitans. That is what Madhvācārya is saying. Is this clear to you? Everybody okay? Hello?
Yeah,
Pure
Kṛṣṇa.
silence.
Yes, it is very clear.
Clear. Okay. Yeah. All right. Sarvashakante Vedokteshchaiva etat eva yuktam. If you look at all the major Upanishads and different Aranyakas, Brahmanas and all, at the end you see statements which indicate bheda or differences as true. So actually we should summarize and conclude that bheda or differences or the truth upheld by all the Vedas. Where do you find these statements? Madhvācārya gives a few examples. Na asamvatsaravasine prabhu na apravaktra ityacharyaha. In the Aitareya Upanishad, there is a statement that one has to test the bhakti and shraddha, the true sincerity of a student by making him wait for a year, asking him to come and stay and work and help out and do whatever services the teacher asks him to do, and then only teach him. Don't think that this 1 year is paid service or something. In 1 year, the maximum the teacher may give is some food, water, shelter, that's all. No money, no nothing, hardships every day. Why? Because one has to get true belief and one has to test somebody else's belief, saying that, is that person capable of understanding the divine? Right? In the Taittiriya Upanishad, The next statement comes, Aham Vishwam Bhuvanamabhya Bhavam. In here, for some reason, I did not go into depth of this Taittiriya Madhvācārya. He says, Chaturmukha Brahma states this, that I am the best in the universe, for some reason. And what does it mean? The universe is different. I am one of them. I am the best. There are a number of other people less best than me. All this multiplicity seems to be real. Anante, Swarge, Loke, Jeye, Pratitishthati. This is in the, I think in the Kena Upanishad. It says Anante means unlimited. Swarge means heaven. Loke, unlimited. Swarga means not limited. It is not like the Swarga or the heaven of the Indra. It is much higher or highest abode. Loke is an abode. GA, all, it is better than everything else. Pratitishthati, that's where a person gets established in the highest goal, highest self. Even this indicates a reality of everything. And it is the adhara. Pratitishthati, it could be established in Brahman itself. So Brahman is the adhara or the support. And everything in this universe and the heavens of all kinds, they're all resting and supported. They are supported by this one universal support, that is Brahman. Iti Brahma vido viduhu. So the knowers of the Brahman knew this. So there is a difference between what they know and what they, and first of all, Brahma vidaha. There are several knowers of Brahman. They are different from each other. And they know something which is different from themselves. So jnatra jnaya bheda, known and knower, they are separate. So there is no way everything is, pushed into one. Even in the Vedic statements at the end, Namo Vishnave Brahate Karomi. This is there in Upanishads and in several places. Namo Vishnave Mahate Karomi, Brahate Karomi. Some people say Brahate Karomi. I'm used to the version Brahate Karomi. So I salute to Vishnu, who is all powerful and all supreme. So thing is, I am inferior and he is superior. It is indicated in this salutation. Pashyanti atman yavasthitam. That means those seers see this universal, powerful ruler, supporter inside them. So Pashyanti atman yavasthitam means they see, mean the seer and the seen are different here. So all these indicate difference is real. So he again restates and emphasizes certain things. He says that, look, if Shrutis introduce abheda or oneness first, and finally, if we state, suppose if we state, that is Madhvācārya is saying, so to argue, we say the reverse to Madhvācārya, to Advaitins. Advaitins say the Shrutis indicate bheda or differences and then denies it. Suppose we reverse it and say, no. Shrutis talk about oneness and then finally denies oneness. Suppose we say that. Advaitins could say, look, that's not suitable because the oneness can be understood only by the Vedas. Because oneness is not seen anywhere else outside. Outside, when we actually experience world by direct perception, what do we perceive? We perceive through our eyes differences. We see something, we see the bird, we see something else, we see something different. So our knowledge, which comes from our sensory perception, they indicate only differences. So assuming these differences and introducing differences first and then denying them all together makes sense. That's what Advaita says. न च ईश्वरस्त्वभेदो वा प्रत्यक्ष सिद्धः. So the thing is, we ask a different question. Do we see difference? Suppose we can see, I can see only difference between the light and darkness, I can see through the eyes. But can we see the difference between Jivatma and īśvara, which is through our eyes? Jivatma or the īśvara cannot be seen through our eyes. Yes, we are there. I am talking, you're listening, whatever. You may not be listening. But the thing is, we know we exist separately. But that cannot be understood through our sensual direct perception. This pratyaksha doesn't even understand īśvara exists. I cannot see the Lord who is controlling everything in this universe. And the difference between the Lord and the īśvara and the jivas cannot be seen. So why can't I say, yeah, because the bheda or the differences between īśvara and the rest of all of us cannot be seen through our direct perception. The purpose of the Vedas is to tell everybody that there is a real difference between īśvara and the beings and matter. To establish the real difference between all these things, which cannot be seen, the difference cannot be seen. That is the purpose of Vedas. I can say that, right? That is what the Madhvācārya is telling. So one more thing is, Madhvācārya goes against, Madhvācārya summarizes in just next 10-15 statements a lot of information contained in number of books, number of shastras, logical, logical arguments in simple 5 or 6 sentences. So this seems to be very simple, but if you want to study them, you have to study in detail what is logic. What does logic mean? In the logic, studying Indian logic is not easy. You have to study Tarka Sangraha, Nyaya Siddhanta Muktavali, and also a couple of other granthas to understand Indian logic very well. Because all these statements are made through Indian logic, which is known as fivefold syllogism. Fivefold syllogism. The Western people use threefold syllogism. Eastern, that is what logic was developed in India long time back, uses something known as fivefold syllogism. You can learn them separately. I'll try to explain all these without using logical terminology. So Vedas can say Ekameva Advitiyam as attribute of Brahman, and Vedas can talk about all the different kinds of attributes of Brahman, like Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Brahman is made of consciousness or something like that. These attributes can be imagined as unreal, right? That is how Advaita supposes. If attributes are imagined and superimposed on Brahman, they are all unreal attributes, but temporarily superimposed on Brahman. Then these statements become useless. Then in the Vedas, wherever differences and attributes are talked about, should be a large portion of the Vedas, then all these statements become useless. So what is the purpose? So the Vedas themselves become a less valuable medium of instruction, a less valuable verbal testimony, because Advaita believes Brahman is Swayam Prakasha. Swayam Prakasha means Brahman is self-evident, like a light, like a bulb, right? The bulb is burning, and then you see light. So you don't need another light to see the light. You don't need another torch to see the light. Similarly, Brahman is self-evident according to Advaita. Then they can say, no, these statements in the Vedas are useful. They are not useless because they are not directly talking about Brahman. All descriptions given in the Vedas, like the Supreme Lord is powerful, he is intelligent, he is all pervading, he is a creator, destroyer, he is the maintainer of the universe, he makes everything work. All these statements are actually not related to Brahman, but it refers to the upalakshana. There is a term called upalakshana. They refer to indicators to Brahman. Let me explain to you what an upalakshana is. Let's take the example of a moon. Suppose this moon is not so visible because moon is not full, not bright, and there are some clouds. So moon is visible only little bit faintly in the sky. Then what happens? A little child asks somebody, oh, what is that bright over there? There's something bright coming there, bright light. Then there's somebody that says, no, that is actually moon. Where is the moon? Asks this child, because the child cannot distinguish and figure out where exactly the moon is. Then the person says, look at the branch of the tree here. That one, not this branch, that one. Right behind the branch of that tree is moon, suppose he says. So the branch of the tree closest to the moon is known as the upalakshana. So we are not describing that is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahman, or any of these statements which talk about attributes that Brahman is all powerful, all intelligent, all pervading, and all those things. They are only not the true Brahman's attributes, but the attributes of the something close to Brahman, like the branch of the tree, right? Something close to Brahman. Then we can say these statements are justified because they're really trying to say the attributes of something. But even these statements, suppose you basically your intention is to refer it to the actual Brahman, but you're trying to say that they refer to an upalakshana or something which indicates Brahman, but still it's confusing, right? These statements, first of all, they're trying to give attributes to an attributeless entity, which the whole purpose is gone anyway. So Shruti is still invalid testimony because it cannot speak of Brahman at all to start with. According to Advaita, Brahman is inexplicable. If Brahman is inexplicable, then keep quiet. Don't give me 100 statements. In the Vedas, there may be 1,000 statements explaining Brahman. Don't explain. It's not explicable. So just write one such statement. It is not explicable. I would trust you. If you give me 400 statements, I'll get confused. And then Vedas will become not a good medium. Suppose they say these attributes are the statements and everything in the Vedas are all mithya, are illusory. Then the real attributes of all the Paramatma's attributes and everything, they become real. The differences become real. Then you are accepting Dvaita instead. That's what Madhvācārya says. So if you say that these statements are unreal, that means the attributes and all the diversity, everything becomes real. Then Advaitin will become a Dvaitin at that time. That is the line of argument here. Now, what is Lakshita Swarupa? Now he goes a little bit further. Lakshita means that which is intended. The intended nature of the entity is like the entity of the moon. When somebody explains the little kid, oh, this is the moon, or that is the intended entity. That is on a Lakshita Swarupa. That is same as Brahman in the Advaita, right? Mithya Visheshokta Apramanyam Shrutehe. if Vedas talk about attributes, then Vedas are not correct and not valid testimony. Since Brahman is nirvishesha for them. If Brahman is without any attributes and the Vedas are talking about the attributes, then Vedas are not a reliable source. Another thing is, the thing is, everything other than Brahman is mithya or superimposed or illusory. So even if you talk about something known as mithyatva, suppose the concept of mithyatva, the very fact that I'm talking about a concept, it doesn't matter what concept. Even if I talk about the concept of mithyatva, all that is also superimposed, because there can never be anything other than Brahman in the Advaita. So if my concepts are mithya or unreal, then whatever the truth is becomes real and all the variety has to be accepted. Then Brahman, all the attributes, everything becomes real. I'm restating this. Some things are restatements. They may just validate what we said earlier. Here, upādhikrita bhedepi upādher mithyatve tu apraptameva upādhi bhedam prapayitva punarishajate sa eva vishdoshaha. Suppose now we talk about upādhi. Upādhi is same as the, when I say upādhi is adjunct in English. Adjunct means that which is not really Brahman, but some things which is used to indicate Brahman, like the branch of the tree is upādhi, which is used to indicate moon behind it, right? So all the differences in Brahman is due to upādhi, right? That is the then that is the premise of Advaita. Let me explain to you what I mean. Let us go back a little bit to find some fundamentals of Advaita. I'm going to show a different, well, I don't have an exact, okay, let me stop share here. I will try to explain to you some concepts of Advaita you already know, but just to make sure everybody understands. Okay. Let me show you a different screen. Okay. Here, in the first section here, this is Advaita, right? What it see in you see the world of differences, the universe. It contains beings, experiences like us, jīva. They're all relatively real. Jada, Saguna Brahma, the īśvara, they're all here. Once you get true knowledge, according to Advaita, you cannot see all these things because they're all unreal. They will vaporize and they'll go away. And all you see, or you don't see anything, but you become only one, that is Nirguna Brahman. That was said earlier, right? And here, Shankaracharya uses three different kinds of analogies to explain Advaita. One is the analogy of the rope and the snake. So the thing is, rope is stands for the Brahman. The snake stands for the universe, which is superimposed on Brahman. And the snake gets denied. The snake is not there when a person really knows that this is just the rope. So the snake is imagined, and that will go away due to true knowledge. This is one analogy Shankaracharya gives. There are other analogies, right? And the other analogies are upādhi. Upādhi means, let me explain to you what a upādhi here is. Here in this pot analogy, pot, ghaṭākāśa is the space within the pot. And mahākāśa is the universal space. So there is no real distinction between the universal space and the space inside the pot, but this pot is used as a delimiter adjunct to define something which is restricted, right? So if you take this pot as a body, for example, our body, so there is one consciousness which is delimited by this body of ours. So my body, the same consciousness is delimited by my body. The same consciousness is delimited by your body. So there is no real difference between the one consciousness, but because of the adjuncts, because of the upādhis, this is known as the upādhi. Because of the upādhi, we are separating out different space, like pot space, the flower pot space, cup space, spoon space. These are all just, there is no different spaces, one space, but we are just using these adjuncts to separate them out. That is one view of Advaita. Sometimes they say it is not like having a real adjuncts or upadhis. It could be even virtual. For example, there's water in this pot. There's water in different pots. Also, the water in the well or in a large, like a lake or something. One sun gets reflected on all these different reflecting surfaces of water, right? It seems like multiple images, so multiple entities. Really speaking, there's only one sun. So in this analogy, if you take this analogy a little bit further, what it says is, look, the one sun, when it is reflected in pure medium, known as sattva upādhi, pure medium, then whatever reflection you see is the saguna Brahman. Saguna Brahman means it is, of course, unreal, of course, virtual, but the saguna Brahman is the creator, all powerful, and things like that. If you see the reflection of the same sun in a rajasic medium, then you see the jīva. Jīva means rajasic is like a body, our body. It has rajoguna also. So it has some sattva guna. So what happens is that reflection is jīva. Then if it reflects on purely tamoguna, that are objects like the pot, mud, silver, they're all insentient objects. So that is how Advaita explained the reflection of one Atman in different types of medium. So this is I'm just explaining Advaita's view here. I'll come back to the other one immediately now. Just a second. So the bheda, the difference is only because of the upādhis. Now you know what an upādhi. Everybody knows what an upādhi is. Any doubts about upādhis? Do we all agree?
Yes.
So everybody knows what upādhi is. Okay, fine. So now, if the bhedas are due to upādhis, the bhedas can be unreal or the upādhis can be real or unreal, right? Assume that upādhis are unreal. So the reflecting surfaces are all unreal. Then the bheda is never there, but are presented to unreal upādhis. Then again, these are denied. Finally, so what is the purpose of the shrutis? To create unreal upādhis and to say that this Brahman is reflected on unreal upādhis and then deny everything else and only Brahman exists. Even then, this Vedas does not seem to be a mature, valid testimony, because it brings up some rubbish and denies them altogether. That is awkward way of presentation. Still looks like words of a mad person. Why is Madhvācārya making a big point here? What he's saying is, look, what does Vedas talk about? They talk about progress here in this universe. They talk about progress in the other worlds. It talks about the highest type of progress, or becoming one with the devatas, meditating on the devatas and become one with the devatas, go to the devata loka. All these things they're talking about. At the end, what will they do according to Advaita? They will deny everything. There are no other devatas. There are no method to go to the devatas. There are no not even aspirants who are looking for the progress. There is no universe. There is no mud. There is no gold. There is no earth. There is no space. They're denying everything. But all of these are explained in the Vedas and then denied. It's like writing 1,000 pages, and in the last page there are whatever was written in those 1,000 pages, they're all false. That seems like a drastic explanation. Unbelievable. Satyopādhi pakshepi, suppose you say the same Brahman, due to some upādhis or adjuncts, he becomes the universal Lord, and he is like, he is Narayana and he's Hari, and he takes different avatars. He becomes as Rama in the Ramayana, he comes as Kṛṣṇa as explained in the Bhagavata. So thing is, if you say the same person really takes a different upādhis according to Advaita, this is about, right? Because if he also, because of different upādhis, become a jīva like us, that is, because of some upādhi, he really comes and becomes a jīva, some being like us, right? And what do we do from morning to evening? We experience pleasure, pain, diseases, difficulty, despair, hopelessness, all kinds of awkward emotions. Then īśvara himself has to experience all those. If he becomes us, completely he becomes us, he will experience all our pains. Not only one person's pain of everybody in this universe. And even maybe some little bit small pleasures we get, and all the pleasures put together. Even then, such a Brahman seems to be such an useless fellow. He creates everything to mess himself up. That also seems awkward. So it is better to uphold that jīva, īśvara are different, and he is superior, we are inferior. If you give up the idea of Advaita, it is safer for you, safer for everybody. That seems to be the real import of the Vedas. These are the arguments given by Madhvācārya. These are very, very simple arguments. If you go into extreme detail, the later acharyas have explained this in different granthas. Even Madhvācārya has done another grantha called Māyā Khandana, and all these things where he refutes the Mayavada theory of Maya. So I guess we are done with 2.18. Now, I want to ask you some things. Let me stop share. So far, what we have done is we have looked at 2.18, looked at probably in my pages here, these are like explained in Kannada, probably in about 20 pages or 25, more than 30-40 pages. So on just one shloka, Madhvācārya spends 30-40 pages. Was this large a lecture explaining all these things? Were they useful to you, or do you already know, and what is the point? Well, tell me what you felt. Honestly, every one of you. I want to hear from you. See, there are two options. If you are not preparing or if you're not reading by yourself, then all this becomes useless because you already know and you're prepared for it. If not, is it of any use? Anyone? Hello? Total silence.
This switching between Advaita and Dvaita in the same class confuses me a little bit. Not confuses me, it kind of, the cohesion is kind of lost for me a little bit.
Okay.
So, if it was straight up Dvaita class, I would have probably, it would have flown better for me, I would think.
See, if it is straight Dvaita class, we are only doing Madhvācārya here, right?
Yeah.
And then he has to refer to Advaita to deny something and say that's not what I'm believing in, right? So how do you read Advaita without knowing Advaita? How do you understand Madhvācārya clearly?
No, we already did the snake rope, etc. All that kind of stuff we already did, right? You've covered those slides many times. Is what I
Yes.
said.
Yeah.
So
So
you
this
just
should
point
clear,
to
right?
that and we will remember it.
Yeah, then I just want to be clear because there are so many other students here, right? So I
Okay,
explain a little bit longer about Advaita because some people may not understand it very clearly. That's why I want to ask you, am I doing it so slow that it's a waste of time for you people? That's what I'm asking.
No,
No, no, no.
I
An issue.
your Kṛṣṇa. So this is required.
Okay.
Very much required. This is very clear
but
also.
the one thing is in the shloka, there is the second line is still not explained, right? According to Madhva.
What second line?
Antavanta ime deha nityasyokto sharirana anashino aprameyasya tasmad yujyatsva bharata. That particular line.
Is not explained. I will check if that is not explained. If it was explained earlier, I will mention. If not, I will try to find out what exactly Madhvācārya told us. I think it is covered, but the thing is, I will validate it. I'll just check. So let me tell you my view here, right? There are a lot of arguments from Advaita side and Vishishtadvaita and the other non-Advaita side, right? Dvaita side, whatever. Eventually, if you want to be very clear, you have to understand the details of arguments. And that is why there are so many texts to understand. There are, from the Advaita side, there are texts like Vedanta Paribhasha, there are texts like Vedanta Sara. See, these texts have to be understood. Then only you know Advaita position properly. And you also know the arguments against Advaita if you only see all the other other texts. And to understand this, for example, yesterday there was a class I was attending, and Acharya talked about a concept called Sakshi. This Sakshi concept is in Advaita. How many people here are extremely clear about the concept of Sakshi?
Sakshi is very confusing. It is very difficult to understand. Witness.
Yes. So the problem is, who is the witness? The Jīva or the Paramatma? And what does the Paramatma witness if the Paramatma is the witness? And what does the Jīva witness if the Jīva is witness? So the thing is, Sakshi means witness. That is what is the direct understanding. English translation of Sakshi means witness, right? So this witness concept is very difficult. Then I asked Acharya, what is this Sakshi concept? He said, Kṛṣṇa, if you read only Shankara Bhashya, you can read the whole of Shankara Bhashya on Gītā, Upanishads, Brahma Sutras, everything like that. But you will not no Sakshi. And if where do you read Sakshi? The book like Vedanta Sara and Vedanta Sara and Vedanta Paribhasha. These two classes are very important to understand what Advaita is. See, one thing you need to understand. How many years when Madhvācārya came to the world? It was in the year something like 1300s, right? And prior to that, Ramanuja.org came and argued against Advaita in the 1200s. Prior to that, sometime in 700 or 800, Shankaracharya was there. Maybe he was there earlier. Just because Madhvācārya argued against Advaita, do you think Advaita is completely destroyed today?
No.
How many people are there in Advaitins? How many Advaita people are there in the world? They form the majority. There are more Advaitins today in the world than any other Indian Vedantic system. So these arguments are not going to destroy any other system of thought. It will only help you define these systems properly so that you prefer one system or the other for your personal liking. That's all. It clarifies different viewpoints.
But most of the Advaitins, like me, for example, do not know perfectly about Advaita. That's also true.
That's also true. See, that is the problem everywhere. None of us, whether you are an Advaitin by birth or somebody else by birth, we don't know our own systems. You know why? First thing you want is, I want to study well, or I want to start a business and make a lot of money. And that will consume 50 years of your life. Afterwards, you think about something beyond. That's too late already. So, one more thing is, what I am feeling is, there are granthas in the world like Shatadushani, Shatabhushani, Paramartha Prakashika. All these different granthas are logical granthas which are based on the Vedic logic. Vedic logic means not the external logic like a Western logic, based on the Vedas, assuming Vedas are true, and something which is in coordination with Vedic statements. There's a special logic. All these granthas, only when you understand them properly, you are very clear in your mind. No amount of external influence will change your mind afterwards. You're clear about all these things. So to get clear knowledge, all this logical analysis is important. Another thing is, as time passes, many things we can get confused. As we grow older, you will get a different view of the world. And so you may have different kinds of doubts. And to solve all the doubts, you need more thinking. So these are rational exercises, very useful. Sometimes they are confusing, but I think if you spend some more time, they will become very clear. Any feedback? Anything else?
So, just one thing over here. So, even when Dhananjay Govindacharya, in his lectures, he states the greatness of Madhvācārya is because of the philosophy where he says more about bheda. Because everything in the universe is there is bheda. The difference is something which is embedded in everything virtually. When we see the even if we go into Advaita, the Vyavaharika, in the Vyavaharika there is bheda everywhere.
Yes, true. You're right. You're right. I want all of you to focus on one thing. What will Advaitin say for all these arguments presented by Madhvācārya? Can Advaitin defend Advaita's position? If they can defend Advaita's position, what would be a single answer Advaita could give for all the arguments and oppositions raised by Madhvācārya? Anybody?
So this is all accepted in Advaita because everything is in Vyavaharika. So Vyavaharika, it is true that there is bheda. While in the Paramarthika state, it's Advaita. Like there is no bheda. So it is accepted.
You're only stating Advaita here. You're not defending Advaita yet. That is not defense. I want a clear defense of Advaita here. Can Advaita still defend itself against all the problems and arguments brought by Madhvācārya here? There is a defense. There is a statement of defense. And very powerful line of defense for Advaita. I want you to think about it. Why don't I do one thing? This is a homework because it will take a long time to understand. I want you to think about a defense mechanism Advaita has to go against any system of thought, any kind of argument you bring. They will use one simple argument and wipe your argument away from the board. Any argument. It's not as in cards or something like that. They call it as I have the trump card, and when the funny, its name is trump card. I'm not. So if I use the trump card in the card game, I win. So they can use a trump card to dispose all these arguments. So think about this and let me know next time, because it's not easy to talk about that. You cannot be a knee-jerk reaction to my question unless you have read my mind and understood it perfectly. Okay, and I don't have time anymore. 7:45. Let me stop here. Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Parama Gurubhyo Namaha, Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Kṛṣṇa Parabrahmane Namaha, Shri Lakshmi Nrsimha Parabrahmane Namaha, Shri Lakshmi Haya Vadana Parabrahmane Namaha, Tattvam Shri Kṛṣṇa Arpanamastu.
Namaskaras.
Namaskaram.